When you turn the front cover of Malaysian passport, there is a note in the middle of the first page. This passport is valid for all countries except Israel. Malaysian passport is not valid for travel to Israel, but the travel ban to North Korea since 2021 is not written elsewhere in the passport. And what are the impacts on the travel as Malaysian passport cannot be used to enter Israel? And how did Malaysians manage to enter anyways? Let's take a look on a deeply sensitive issue and understand of why a person cannot travel to a certain country with an ordinary passport. Malaysian passport has a history of listing the countries that the Malaysians discourage or not allowed to go. In the middle of the 20th century, it was common to enlist the name of the countries where the travel by an ordinary passport is not possible. To understand why a Malaysian passport is not valid to travel to Israel, we need to look back into the history. There was a limited contact between Malaya, which is part of the British colony until 1957, and Israel, which was established in the year 1948. In 1956, the second Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs of Israel, Moshe Sharett, visited Kuala Lumpur to discuss the possibility of an economic relations and eventual diplomatic relations with Malaya. However, Tunku Abdul Rahman, as the first Prime Minister of Malaya and later Malaysia, knew that the consequence of recognizing Israel. Domestically, majority Malays who are Muslims will denounce the relations. Internationally, an attempt on diplomatic relations with Israel would anger the Arab countries who historically went on war with Israel. Nevertheless, Israel voted yes to Malaya's ascension into the United Nations with Resolution 1134 in bracket 12 in the year 1957. Before you say that because it was a political party, because Tunku is this party and that party, and we need to understand, we need to look at the broader picture of the Middle East in the middle of 20th century. Between 1948 until 1967, West Bank and East Jerusalem, where the old city is located, is under Jordanian rule. The entry to the sacred site in East Jerusalem, including the Al-Aqsa Mosque, was controlled by Jordan. Initially, the resentment of Arab and Muslim world toward Israel is not primarily because of the religion. It was the struggle between the First World and newly independent Third World countries. After the Israeli occupation of East Jerusalem and the West Bank in the year 1967, the limited contact between Malaysia and Israel ceased to exist. All city of Jerusalem, including Al-Aqsa Mosque and the West Bank, were under Israeli occupation and no longer accessible from Jordan. In the year 1969, the arson that destroyed 800 years old Mimbar in Qibli Mosque, part of Al-Aqsa Mosque, that led to the foundation of Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC. After 1969, any movement of Malaysian into Israel or West Bank and Israeli into Malaysia are only possible under special circumstances. Example, Malaysian TV crews were granted entry into Israel and the West Bank to film the documentary series Jejak Rasul, or The Footsteps of the Prophets, a popular Ramadan special television series. In 1997, Israel cricket team was allowed to enter Malaysia to participate in International Cricket Council Trophy, and as expected, the participation of Israeli cricket team caused about 500 people protested at the match venue. In 2011, an Israeli boxer was allowed to entry to participate in Malaysian Muay Thai reality show. In 2013, Israeli reporter Gideon Levy was granted entry for an 8-day visit to Malaysia by the invitation of Perdana Leadership Foundation. On February 2018, David Roed, an Israeli diplomat, was allowed to enter Malaysia to attend UN Habitat Conference in Kuala Lumpur. He is optimistic of better relations between Malaysia and Israel, although most Malaysians thought the opposite. The issue of Malaysian passport not usable to enter a certain country is not because the lack of diplomatic relations. There are countries that do not have diplomatic relations with Malaysia, such as Bhutan right here, Andorra here, and also San Marino in Europe. But the Malaysian passport holders are allowed into. Therefore, why does Malaysians are not allowed to enter Israel using the passport? Ever since Malaysia achieved its independence in the year 1957, there was a list of countries that Malaysians are not allowed to travel with a passport. Right after independence, Malaysians were not allowed to travel to communist countries which are Albania, Bulgaria, People's Republic of China, Cuba, Czechoslovakia, East Germany, North Korea, Hungary, Poland, Romania, Soviet Union, North Vietnam and Yugoslavia. The reason is that Malaysia practiced the Western-friendly policy to counter the spread of communism, which threatened the security of the country and Southeast Asian region. When foreign policy of Malaysia shifted from Western-friendly to non-aligned policy, Malaysia started to develop the friendship with the communist countries. Therefore, by 1975, Malaysian passport could be used to travel to communist countries. I talk about the shift of Malaysia's foreign policy to non-aligned policy in the previous video with the aim to cut the external support of communist insurgency in northern Peninsular Malaysia. The link for this video will be appeared. Israel was not on the list of countries forbidden to enter using Malaysian passport until the year 1969. The inclusion of Israel into the ban list happened due to the arson of Al-Aqsa Mosque in 1969 as per mentioned before. In 1970, another country was added to the list. South Africa was included as the country intensified its racial segregation policy, popularly known as apartheid. Apartheid system banned non-white people from certain areas, certain jobs and certain activities, a cruel system that should not be practiced anywhere. Between 1970 until 1994, South Africa together with Israel were on the list of countries forbidden to enter using Malaysian passport. 4 years after the fall of apartheid system and a free and fair presidential election in the year 1994, South Africa was removed from the list and Israel remained on the list up to this day. Inability to use the Malaysian passport to enter a certain country impact various aspects on travel to the foreign country: insurance coverage, payment system, safety and most importantly, consular protection. In Malaysian passport, the diplomatic request behind the cover note route. This is to request and require in the name of His Majesty, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong of Malaysia, all whom it may concern to allow the bearer of this passport to pass freely without let or hindrance, and to afford the bearer such assistance and protection as may be necessary. This diplomatic request that many people miss out is legally important to guarantee the rights of a Malaysian passport holder when the person visit another country. When entering a country without a passport that carried the diplomatic request, many of the aspects of travel will be troublesome. Insurance of all types is invalid and any damages and medical fee is unclaimable. The Malaysian bank has no link with the bank in an unrecognized country. No money could be withdrawn from ATM and Malaysian credit or debit card in the wallet is just a piece of plastic. Bank transfer and remittances are difficult and expensive if not outright impossible, causing difficulty to pay for the airline tickets and accommodation. Driving license is not recognized, thus over-reliance on transport arranged by travel agency. If there is an emergency or accident, there is no consular services, no consular protection, you are on your own. Today, any travel ban is no longer mentioned in the passport. A notice of travel ban from Ministry of Foreign Affairs is sufficient as in the case of travel ban for Malaysians to North Korea in the year 2021. And without using the passport, have any Malaysians ever stepped the foot into Israel? If Malaysian passport cannot be used to enter Israel, East Jerusalem and the West Bank, how did a number of Malaysians successfully enter Israel? Method number 1, provisional travel document. Passport is just one of many types of travel document. Malaysians who successfully enter Israel apply via travel agency who manage the visa travel document and becomes the guarantor. I talk about the variety of the travel documents in this previous video and the specific destination and also the terms and conditions to use them. The video link for this video will be appeared. For those who feel really adventurous and has invitation letter for an Israeli organization, you can try to apply the visa individually. Just looking at the visa application will make you... There are numerous questions need to be answered in this visa application form. For example, what is your name? What is your father's name? What is your mother's name? What is your grandfather's name? Yes, plural. It is correct because grandfathers for both father side and mother side. And the list of all your children if you're already married and all your siblings. What is your religion? What is your occupation? Jobs. All the countries in the Middle East, Gulf, Africa, Malaysia and Indonesia you visited before in the past 5 years, and all the countries you ever lived in the past 5 years. And also there is a question, have you ever tried to visit West Bank or you plan to visit West Bank and Gaza? And do remember that unlike passport where there is a diplomatic request to give assistance if the passport holder have a problem when needed, there is no protection when entering a country using a provisional travel document. If there is any issues, for example sickness, traffic accident, robbery, arrest by police, you are on your own, as consular assistance is difficult if not outright impossible. Method number 2, diplomatic passport. Diplomatic passport is a passport given to the diplomats and the near family, often given to the people working under Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Unlike ordinary passport where the safety is requested upon entry to a country, the safety of a diplomatic passport holder is guaranteed by the government. And that is the reason that diplomatic passport can enter any country in the world, because look at here, there is no word except Israel. And how is it that possible? It's not fair. It's not fair. Diplomats, consul and their immediate family are granted diplomatic immunity and protected by national and international law based on Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations 1961 and Vienna Convention on Consular Relations 1963. Any harm or disturbance upon diplomatic passport holder is a provocation, while an injury or death may spark a declaration of war. Method number 3, international organization passport. International organizations such as United Nations issued laissez-passer, a kind of travel document in lieu of passport. Due to the nature of working with the UN or its agencies, entering a country using UN laissez-passer might be easier than using a national passport. As a conclusion, travel without using a passport is difficult, expensive and no consular protection. Please proceed with your own risk. Malaysian passport is obtainable by Malaysian citizens at immigration offices nationwide. The passport fee is RM200 and RM100 for specific categories. Malaysian passport is free for the disabled. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new about Malaysian passport and why the passport is valid for all countries except Israel. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next video.